वेंकटाद्रि समं स्थानं ब्रह्मांडे नास्ति किंचन वेंकटेश समो देवः न भूतो न भविष्यति विना वेंकटेशं ननाथो ननाथः सदा वेंकटेशं स्मरामि स्मरामि हरे वेंकटेश प्रसीद प्रसीद प्रियं वेंकटेश प्रयच्छ प्रयच्छ पुण्याम्भोज विकासाय पापध्वांत क्षयाय च श्रीमान् आविर्भूत भूमौ रामानुज दिवाकरः तस्मै रामानुजार्याय नमः परमयोगिने यश्रुति स्मृति सूत्राणाम् अंतर्ज्वरम् अशीशमत् अशेष चिदचित् वस्तुशेषिणे शेषशायिने निर्मलानंद कल्याण निधये विष्णवे नमः अखिल भुवन जन्म स्थेम भंगादि लीले विनद विविधभूत व्रातरक्षैक दीक्षे श्रुति शिरसि विदीप्ते ब्रह्मणि श्रीनिवासे भवतु मम परस्मिन् शेमुषी भक्ति रूपा. Let us all offer our salutations to Swami Ramanuja, who had established the customs, the practices and all the services in the foremost Divyadeshams of Srirangam and Tirupati. Even today, the rituals in both these temples are conducted as per the established practices of Swami Ramanuja. The evidence is the two books which these two temples follow. One book which Srirangam temple follows is Koyil Olugu. Olugu would mean the religious ritual discipline for the temple of Srirangam. Similarly, another book by name Thirumalai Olugu establishes the practices in Tirumala Tirupati. Swami Ramanuja was, of course, a great Vedanti and a philosopher. But more than his philosophy, he is well known for his services, for his magnanimity and accessibility to one and all. We are here today to know more about him and specifically about his works, about the books that he wrote. His books are not far away from his practices. There were no gap between the two. Whatever he wrote, he was able to practice. And he expected all of us to read his books and also to practice whatever he inspired us to do. Any philosopher, for that matter, has to talk about three important aspects in this life. One, Tattva. Second, Purushartha. And the third, Hita. Tattva, Hita, Purushartha. Tattvam is the true, real being. What's reality? The study of reality is Tattva Vichara. Once we know what reality is, then we have to set our goal. Our objective gets defined. That's Purushartham. That what we want to accomplish, we want to reach is Purushartham. And the last one is the means to reach to that Purushartham. There has to be a way which will lead us to Purushartham. Tattva, the real being, Purushartha, the goal, and means Upaya, Hita. Tattvan jigyasamananam hetubhis sarvado mukhaihi tattvameko mahayogi harihi narayana smritaha. All the great seers got together. They started to pursue. They started to search. Search in terms of what? Which is the Tattvam. They really scanned through the many, many thousands of hymns in the Vedas. The Vedas finally confirmed there are three Tattvams. One, Achit. Two, Chit. Third, Ishvara. Chit, Achit and Ishvara. Ishvara, the omnipotent God, Bhagavan. Chit and Achit, his part and parcel, his two belongings, properties. Chit is just Atman, who is sentient. Achit, all the mundane objects, all those which has no consciousness, no jnana, is Achit. So Chit, Achit are the two real beings, and the one who controls both this is Ishvara, the controller, the creator. When Swami Ramanuja entered the sanctum sanctorum, he was quite close to the Garbhagraha. He was standing in front of Lord Venkateshwara. Immediately, he just offered this shloka, and that was the salutation shloka to a great work called Vedartha Sangraha. Yash Shri Shailapute Pare Puraha, Yaha, that Ramanuja, Shri Shailapate Puraha, before, standing well before the great Lord Venkateshwara, came up with Vedartha Sangraha. You can term it as its first work. Rather than first in its order, it is very first in its meaning. Before you read into very difficult texts, it is better to begin with simple texts where the concepts of expert are explained in brief, where the concepts are explained in a lucid manner. So Ramanuja chose to author Vedartha Sangraha, and this was not written in any dais, not in his ashramam, not at Srirangam. This was recited before Sri Venkateshwara. So Venkateshwara is quite close to the works of Swami Ramanuja, as he is the one who inspired Ramanuja to come up with this very important work. In Vedartha Sangraha, Ramanuja scans, he researches, he analyzes all the verses of Upanishads. There are predominantly 10 important Upanishads: Isha, Kena, Katha, Prashna, Munda, Mandukya, Taittiriya, Aitareya, Chandogya, Brihadaranyaka. Out of these 10 Upanishads, the important passages were chosen by Ramanuja and dealt with in detail standing before Venkateshwara. Thus came out the work Vedartha Sangraha. And it is so evident in the first shloka itself. Ashesha, Chidachit, Vastu Sheshine, Shesha Chayine, Nirmalananta Kalyana Nithaye, Vishnave Namaha. O Shri Venkateshwara, you are Lord Vishnu. You are here in this four-armed form just to be accessible to all of us. That doesn't mean you are limited by time or space. You are infinite, you are boundless, and you are always in spiritual company with Chit and Achit. Now he mentions the three important real tattvams: Chit, Achit, Ishvara. Chit, the one who is sentient. We are all Chits. All Atmans are Chit. Achit, the mundane objects which has no consciousness, no knowledge. And Bhagavan Ishvara, the controller of these two. Ashesha, there cannot be one being which is not controlled by Venkateshwara. Ashesha, Chidachit, Vastu, Sheshine. Sheshi would mean master. Shesha, the ardent servant. So Bhagavan is Sheshi, we are all Shesha. The whole hill itself is a form of Shesha. Don't we know the serpent bed of Bhagavan as Adi Shesha? Shesha, a servant. Adi Shesha, the first servant. The first and last servant, Adi Shesha, he does all sorts of services to Venkateshwara. So is Shesha, Ashesha, Chidachit, Vastu Sheshine. One important service he rendered to Venkateshwara was lying in the form of this mountain. The very mountain of Saptagiri itself is the serpent bed of Bhagavan. So Venkateshwara, although not reclining, is still standing on his bed. On his bed, Adisesha. Nallamala is the name of the mountain range. Adiseshas, all his 7 hoods, thousands and thousands of hoods. Those hoods form the 7 mountains, the 7 peaks of Saptagiri. And his body, and lastly his tail. His body is Ahobilam, the great Navanarasimha Kshetram. Lastly, his tail is Shri Shaila. Shri Shaila, Ahobila, Venkatadri. This is the entire body of Adisesha. So Bhagavan even today is standing on his Adisesha, his serpent bed. Ashesha Chidachit Vastusheshine Sheshashayine. You would wonder, why is Ramanuja naming Venkatesha as Sheshashayi? He is not Sheshashayi here. He is Sheshashayi in Srirangam as Ranganatha. He is not reclining in his serpent bed in Tirupati. Whereas Ramanuja calls him as Sheshashayine. One may think that although Ramanuja has visited Venkateshwara, he is just filled with the thoughts of Sri Ranganatha. He is unable to forget him. Any day Ramanuja was wedded to Srirangam. He is a visitor to Tirupati. Although he established everything in Tirupati, probably he is still drawn. He cannot come out of Srirangam. That's not the truth. He is standing before Venkateshwara and sings Sheshashayi because he knows Venkateshwara stands on his Adisesha bed. Sheshashayine Nirmala Ananta Kalyana Nidhaye Vishnave Namaha. Nirmala, the blemishless. Ananta, the infinite, without any boundary. Ashesha Chidachit Vastu Sheshine Nirmala Ananta Kalyana Nidhaye. Kalyana Guna or his divine attributes. Bhagavan is a repository. Bhagavan is an ocean of good qualities, of divine attributes. Nirmalananta Kalyana Nidhaye Vishnave Namaha. I offer my obeisances to you, Lord. Vishnave Namaha. That's the beginning slokam of Vedartha Sangraha, where Ramanuja lucidly explains all the basic tenets of his philosophy. What are the tenets of Ramanuja's Vishishtadvaitam? The basics. Let me only talk about the fundamentals. We do not have much time to talk in detail about Vishishtadvaita. The fundamentals are Chit, Achit, Ishvara are all different entities, not one and the same. Bhagavan is full of auspicious qualities. He is not Nirguna. Instead, he is Saguna. Saguna Brahma or Nirguna Brahmam, Ramanuja says Saguna Brahmam. Brahmam has all qualities, all auspicious qualities. Has Brahmam a form or not? He has innumerable forms, countless forms, as he has the form of Matsya, Kurma, Varaha. These are all the incarnations. Leave alone the incarnations. The many thousands and hundreds and thousands of temples where he has assumed a physical form, either as a Daru Brahma made of wood, or a Shila Brahma made of stone, or a Sudha Brahma made of Shunnambu. There are three types of deities which we can consecrate. So Bhagavan has countless forms. Then why do the Upanishads say he is formless? When we say that he is in a form, are we limiting him? Are we limiting the infinite? We are not. Bhagavan himself fortunately makes himself accessible to us. He is accessible if he is a 4 feet, 10 feet deity. He won't be accessible to us if he appears even in a formless form. If he is formless, then how do I comprehend? I can't even touch him. I can't know anything about him. So he, in fact, dilutes himself. In dilution would not be in terms of his quality, but dilution in terms of his size. He dilutes his size and very much before us so that he is easily accessible to us. That doesn't mean he becomes finite. That doesn't mean we have limited him. If we have Venkateshwara here, a 6 foot idol daily, then the deity, is he limited? Is the power of Venkateshwara limited? Not at all. He is limited for our sake. For to bless us, he limits himself. We cannot limit him. Don't think that we, the temple authorities, chose to consecrate, chose to do Kumbhabhishekam for a 6 foot deity. Not at all. It is his sankalpam where he orders that here it would be a 2 feet deity, here it would be 10, it would be 16 or 22. So he decides. He decides and resides. Adanaala, what we must understand is Ashesha Chidachit Vastusheshine Sheshashayine Nirmala Ananta Kalyana Nithaye Vishnave Namaha. My salutations to that Vishnu who stands in front of my eyes as Lord Venkateshwara. So the first shloka of Vedartha Sangraham was offered to the lotus feet of Venkateshwara. That was the relationship between the works of Ramanuja and Venkateshwara. It didn't stop there. His foremost, in fact, the crest jewel. Ramanuja had many works. He had totally authored 9 works. The best work of all the 9 is Shri Bhashyam, his glorious commentary on Vedavyasa's Brahma Sutra. It has been customary for all the acharyas to write a commentary on Brahma Sutram, be it Adi Shankara based on Advaita philosophy, or Madhvacharya based on Dvaita philosophy, or Ramanuja based on Vishishtadvaita philosophy. All have written, not only these three, about 20 acharyas have written commentaries on the glorious Brahma Sutra. Vedavyasa is the propounder of Vedanta, Itihasas and Puranas. So Ramanuja too was ordered by his Acharya, in fact, Acharya's Acharya, Yamunacharya, to write a commentary, and that was named. It was named as Sri Bhashyam by Saraswati Devi in Sri Bandara. Ramanuja went to Kashmir. Today it's in Pakistan occupied Kashmir. They went to Sri Bandara, and there he had darshan of Sharada Devi. He requested for Bodhayana Vritti Grantham. It's a set of palm leaves where there are notes for Vedavyasa's Brahma Sutra. Vedavyasa's disciple was Bodhayana. Bodhayana had written explanatory notes. Vritti is an explanatory note. Bhashyam is a detailed commentary. Sutram is the aphorism. Sutrams will be very short. They will have only few words. And first, the explanatory notes for Sutram is known as Vritti. In this case, Brahma Sutram was authored by Vedavyasa. Vritti was first written by Bodhayana. Bhagavad Bodhayana Kritam Vistirnam Brahma Sutra Vrittim Purvacharyaha Sanchakshipuhu. Tanka, Dramida, Bharuchi, Vararuchi. There are so many acharyas. And this was a great lineage of Vedavyasa. So Vedavyasa wrote Brahma Sutra. It was quite brief. Bodhayana tried to explain it. It was an explanatory notes, Bodhayana Vritti. Finally, Ramanuja had a detailed explanation, and that was named as Sri Bhashyam by Sharada Devi, Saraswati Devi in Sri Bandara. Let me now recite the beginning shloka of Sri Bhashyam, that's also on Lord Venkateshwara. So the first shloka of Vedartha Sangraham was on Venkateshwara. In fact, the whole text was recited before Venkateshwara. Secondly, Sri Bhashyam, although was written sitting at Srirangam, it talks about Venkateshwara. Akhila, Bhuvana, Janma, Stema Bhangadilile, Vinada Vividabhuta Vratarakshayika Dikshe. I would give you a brief meaning. Akhila, Bhuvana, Janma. I had already mentioned to you that Ramanuja's basic tenets of Vishishtadvaita philosophy was Brahman is Sagunam. Brahman has a form. Brahman, not the only entity, but there are three real entities. Chit, Achit and Ishvara. These are the basic tenets of Vishishtadvaitam. Finally, I'll tell you one. It's about the body-soul relationship between Chit, Achit and Venkateshwara. Venkateshwara is the Atman, the Antaratma, Paramatma. We all the Atmans are his body, and all the mundane objects in this world are also a part of his body. Ashesha Chidachit Vastu Sheshi. Sheshi Bhagavan is always in union with his Shesha. Shesha is his belonging. He is never separated from his belonging. All his belongings are dependent on him and inseparable from him. This cannot happen anywhere else in this world. If I have a belonging, do they all depend on me for their survival? They do not. They are happily there without me. If I am with them, they don't feel good. If I am not with them, they are quite happy. Be it your relatives or friends or belongings, nobody wants us in this world. We think we are very much needed, but we are not. Without us, they would be much better. So, Akhila, Bhuvana Janma, Stema Bhangad Lile, we are inseparable with this body. This body is dependent on me. Similarly, we are all inseparable with Brahman, and we are all dependent on Brahman. This is the concept of Swami Ramanuja, Sharira Atma Bhava. Sharira Atma Bhava. Please note this word, Sharira Atma Bhava. As this is my Shariram, I am Atma, this body belongs to me. And this has to be held by me, sustained by me, nourished by me, and this has to live. I should be the beneficiary for this body. I should be the beneficiary. I am the one who sustains. I am the protector. I nurture. I nourish. So for every aspect, in every angle, this body is for me. If this body doesn't listen to me, Swami, this is my property. This is my belonging. It has to listen. If it doesn't, Say hypothetically, if it doesn't, it means you are suffering with some nervous disorder. Only then it won't listen to you. Similarly, we are all to listen to Venkateshwara as we are the body of Venkateshwara, but we don't listen. What does it mean? We are suffering from nervous disorder. That's why we don't listen to him. This is our Sharira. Don't we expect this Shariram to listen to me? If it doesn't, I go to a doctor to make it listen. Similarly, we should listen to Venkateshwara. We do not. So he invited a doctor in the form of Ramanuja to make us listen. Avarukkum doctor venum. Namakkum doctor venum. So Lord Venkateshwara's doctor to cure us was Ramanuja. Akhila Bhuvana Janma Stema Bhangadilile. Venkateshwara is the creator, the sustainer, the absorber. Akhila Bhuvana, not to one or two human beings. Akhila Bhuvana, to this entire universe. Why did Ramanuja begin with Akhila? What is the meaning of this word Akhila? Not leaving alone anything. Everything together is Akhila. He could have started Sakala. Sakala is all. Akhila is not even leaving one, all. All together, not missing one, is Akhila. Sakala doesn't mean that. Sakala, you may miss one or two. You can afford to miss a couple, whereas Akhila, you cannot miss anything. Akhila Bhuvana, to this entire Prapancham universe, he is the creator. Janma, Stema, he is the sustainer. Rakshaka, the creator, Srashta. The Rakshaka, sustainer. Lastly, Bhanga, one who absorbs all during the deluge, during Pralayam, in his divine body. Akhila Bhuvana Janma, Stema, Bhanga, Adi, Lile. This whole thing, no effort, no hard work in the part of Venkateshwara. The whole thing is a very lovable pastime to him. Leela na, just Leela. This is Bhagavan's Leela where he creates, he sustains and absorbs. Stema Bhangadi Lile, Vinada Vividabhuta Vratarakshayika Dikshet, and he also resolves to himself, if anyone surrenders to me unconditionally, then I would shower my costless mercy on him. Stema Bhangadi Lile, Vinada Vividabhuta Vratarakshayika Dikshet. Vrata, one who has erred in his path, one who does not follow a virtuous path. He is in a condemnable path. Even he, when he surrenders, Rakshayika Dikshe, Bhagavan doesn't resolve to protect Vasishta and Vishwamitra. That automatically happens. They are all good, noble souls. There is no need for any resolution to help them. You need a resolution to help the downtrodden, to help the people who err. So Bhagavan, he takes a resolution. He says, I will now protect all those who surrender to me, irrespective of their caste, irrespective of their discipline, irrespective of their knowledge, irrespective of their money power. Let them be anyone. But before me, they will all be equal. Stema Bhangadi Lile, Venada Vivida Bhuta Vrata. Vrata, a person who has erred from his path, who has gone astray. Vrata, Rakshayika Dikshe. His Diksha, his absolute vow, is to protect. Rakshayika Dikshe, Vinada Vivida Bhuta Vrata Rakshayika Dikshe. And where is he glorified? Where are his glories talked about? Vrata Rakshayika Dikshe, Shruti Shirasi Vidipte, not only on the top of 7 hills, Shruti Shirasi, also on the top of Veda, the concluding part of Veda. The pinnacle of Veda is Vedanta, Upanishad. And Bhagavan is well seen on that pinnacle top of Vedanta. Shruti Shirasi Vidipte. If you light a lamp and keep it on the ground, it won't be visible much. But if you keep it on a raised platform or a Vimana, it's seen for all. Then it gives light to many. Similarly, Vedanta thought, let me first raise Bhagavan. He is already raised, but still it raises. If you have put a platform for me here, why not I sit there? Enna Swami, we have to see his face, at least Apuvano. Let's see whether we are able to understand something. It is a platform made. So if you raise, it's visible. Similarly, Bhagavan is raised to be visible. Where is he raised and who raised him? Not only the stone mountain, not only Saptagiri, instead Shruti Shiras. Vedanta also raised Bhagavan. Raised does not mean he was not raised, he was mean, now someone has raised him. Not in that sense. He is raised so that he is easily accessible, he is easily comprehensible for all of us. Shruti Sirati, Vidipte is glowing. He is so brilliant on the top of Vedanta. Vidipte Brahmani. Now Ramanuja gives a specific name, but still it is not a totally specific name. It's a common name, Brahmam. It's a very common name. Because the word, etymological meaning for the word Brahmam would be Brihatvat, Brahmanatvacha, Brahmamityabhidiyate. Brihatvat, as he is too big. Brahmanatvat, as he raises us also to be big. When we surrender to him, he immediately raises us. So he makes us also big. He is himself big and makes us also equally big. Brihatvat, Brahmanatvacha, Brahmamityabhidiyate. So is Brahman. If you want, you can name your neighbor also as Brahman. No one stops you. But you need a name, a specific name. Who is this God? When I say Brahman, anyone can interpret any God as they want. Is Ramanuja going to be specific or not? What should he have mentioned? Brahmani, Brahmani, Narayane, Brahmani, Vishnave, Brahmani, some Saptami. You should have used some seventh case ending. Brahmani, Srinivase. But Ramanuja chose to mention, make the common name as specific. He took the name of Srinivasa. Although he is writing Sribhashyam sitting at Srirangam. So even when sitting at Srirangam, he called only Srinivasa for the benedictory stanza. Would you question that standing before Venkateshwara, when he recited Vedartha Sangraham, will he call Ranganatha? Even sitting at Ranganatha, he calls for Venkateshwara. So of course, before Venkateshwara, it would have been Srinivasa only. Brahmani Srinivase Bhavatu Mama Parasmin Shemushi Bhakti Rupa. Let the Bhakti Rupa Panna Jnanam. Namma Alvar's philosophy was Bhakti Rupa Panna Jnanam. So was the philosophy of Ramanuja. What is the means for salvation? Salvation, the means is Bhakti Rupa Apanna Jnana. Bhakti is devotion. Jnana, knowledge. When knowledge ripens, it becomes devotion. So without knowledge, without wisdom, one cannot have devotion. He cannot become a devotee. You may say that, Swami, I have not read any books, but I am a devotee. So, am I negating my own statement? I am not. You may not have read books, but you can gain the same knowledge from Bhagavan's Kripa itself. There is no need to go to a book. Nammalvar, did he attend any university? He did not. Did he go to Thoothukudi University or Tiruchendur University, which is close to his Alvartha Nagari? He did not. And the most important aspect, we all appreciate Nammalvar as he really he sang 1102 verses without going to a school. That's his beauty. But today if he says that, I have also a good certificate, I have done my master's degree, we are not going to appreciate Nammalvar. We appreciate him because it was the costless mercy of Bhagavan which blessed him with all the devotion which he has. So not necessarily that my knowledge must be a result of my studies. Knowledge not only through scriptures. Instead, knowledge can be gained from Acharya Upadeshan, from Bhagavan's Anugraham, from my own experience. Anything is possible. But knowledge is inevitable. That's a prerequisite. Unless you have jnana, you cannot have bhakti. Bhakti is devotion. For me to be devoted to someone, if I don't know much information about him, how will I be devoted? If I don't know about anybody, about a particular person, I don't even bother about him. You walk on the road, you meet someone today, then after a week, it would think as though you are meeting him often. Whereas you would have met him every week, even before the first meeting. But only after the first meeting, you will know that I am meeting him often. Did I meet him earlier? He lives in my same road, but earlier I did not meet him. How is that I am meeting him often? You have been meeting him often many times, even for 10 years. But still, since you have got the information, you have met him and got the introduction, from then on, it would look as though you are meeting him often. Similar is the case here. If you don't have introduction of Venkateshwara, we have no knowledge about him, you will not be devoted to him. So listen about him. Read whatever are scriptures that they say about him. Listen to about Venkateshwara. You will automatically be drawn towards him. So bhaktischa jnana visheshaha. This is one important aspect of Ramanuja's philosophy. He never accepted that it is just jnana that will give you moksha. Kevala jnana, mere bookish knowledge, or the jnana gained by the Shastras will not grant you liberation. It's not possible. It is only Bhagavan who can grant you liberation. If he has to grant, you must also reciprocate. and we must be devoted to him. He chooses his best devotee and blesses him with Vaikuntham. To choose the devotee, how should I be? You need not do anything great. You have to be just devoted to him.